you've been having a wonderful, wonderful week. And even if not, that's okay too. How about you take a breath with me right now? Just shake it out, little bunny. Do your head around a little bit. And just get lost in the sound of my voice. As I say, little bunny, I am so glad you're here. I really am. You are a source of joy in my life. A source of purpose, though not the only purpose of my life, but a pretty damn good reason to be incredible and to make fun things and to make meaningful things and meaningful fun things and pointless fun things. And hopefully, I don't know, hopefully it's all fun all over the place. That's the vibe here. So, just taking it easy, having a good time. And you wouldn't believe this, but my decaf coffee tonight, I had meager, what do you call them, grounds left. And so I have maybe half a spoonful, which has been used to make my quote-unquote pot of coffee, which is like a thin layer of water on the bottom of my French press. And I am nervous, certainly uncertain about what kind of decaf coffee I'm going to get. And also, is it even going to last me through this episode, little bunny? Is it even going to last me with this time with you? 1 second. Okay, there we go. Moved the microphone so it's now in my hand and I can relax and lean back, little bunny. Oh, just relax and enjoy this Thursday night / Friday tradition with you that I love and will do forever. Or if the podcast isn't forever, it will be replaced with something equally cool, if not more cool, at the same release consistency. That's my way of saying who knows if the podcast medium will always be the most interesting thing. Who knows what other thing may come along in the future, but you will have me always. I guarantee. That's the locked audio this week, which I need to record tonight. I have a larger locked audio. We're dabbling back in fiction, but it's not done yet. I'm going to spend a lot of time tomorrow. I'm going to go lock myself in a box that has airflow, don't worry. And I'm going to write that short story, but it's not done for this week. So after this episode tonight, I wrote you a little letter about my reaffirmations that I will always be here, that I love you, that you're a joy in my life, and various other things that I wrote down that I will record after this. But for now, you and I are going to spend this wonderful time together every week, every Friday. What do we think? Is it time for me to try this coffee? I'm really curious, nervous and curious. I would like to do the wonderful push down of the French press, but it was just like a going down 1 centimeter. Okay, here we go. Listen to how long it pours. Actually, it's like a full cup. Okay. Didn't even pour I'll pour the full thing. Okay. I have a tiny cup. Oh God. Here we go. Let's try this. It's just barely strong enough to be good. Okay. Victory. I'm going to call it a victory. Let's roll the die. The 20-sided stone, as I like to call it. What did we roll, little bunny? Oh, it's so dark here. I have the lights off. A 6. Okay. I hope you're rolling the dice in your life, little bunny. That's the funny thing about dice is it represents this random chance. Like, oh, there's no control you have over it. It's just a roll of the dice. Little bunny. In life, in real life, you can roll your dice pretty much as many times as you want. You can just roll the dice over and over and over again. And in that sense, statistically speaking, dice is a representation of certainty. If you roll the dice enough times, you are certain, practically speaking, to get what you're trying to do. If you can get yourself through a 1% chance of succeeding at something, that's awesome. Now you just got to try it a whole bunch of times and you'll succeed. Isn't that crazy? Best kept secret. I don't know why. I think it's because it doesn't make for a good story. And that's actually the topic of tonight, is your life as a story. Maybe a little bit of wisdom about how you can make the best story of your life. Something about, I watched Spirited Away last night, actually. It was really, really nice. What a beautiful story. It's the only movie that makes me cry. Of course, I had to pretend I'm not crying and hide it and be like, suddenly my fingers need to attend to something near my eyes that is completely unrelated to tears and could never happen. Oh, it's what a movie. I still think it's my favorite movie, although I don't like playing favorites. It's an S-tier movie. It will always be an S-tier movie. S-tier means the highest caliber, highest quality. However, putting something in S-tier does not necessarily remove something from S-tier. So that's why I like tier lists. So the story of your life, little bunny. Just like, isn't that a cliche phrase? Like, I don't want my life to be like a movie. Or alternatively, people desperately want their life to be a movie, you know. Either way, the comparison is inescapable, isn't it? But it can be a real joy to live your life like a story. We love stories, especially good ones. What better joy than to make your life a good story, right, little bunny? That was episode 100 for me. I wanted to tell you my mental health story, but I wanted to, I don't know. Somehow it just sounded a lot more fun to tell you in a fantasy world. So I told you a little fantasy story about my history and how I got here. How I got to be who I am now. And I'm sure there's more stories to tell. But tonight is about you, little bunny. What kind of story you can craft for your life so that it's fun and engaging and fulfilling, and maybe like Spirited Away, it'll make you cry make you cry beautiful tears of happiness. So the theme of the episode is villains. Villains in the storytelling sense. It could be very easy to get sidetracked in this episode on very dark things. There's plenty of bad people in the world who do plenty of bad things. And these are people that you know in your life, and people that you've heard of that you'll never met, and people that you'll never know about and will never meet. Plenty of these people. But when we talk about villains tonight, this is more about the story of your life and providing for yourself a great story to live. Better than a movie. Immersive movie. The story of my little bunny's life. And I love that I'm a casted character in your life. That's fun. I'd like to steal the show. Maybe we're in a competition. You got to steal the show back from me. Your daddy pops into your life and is so amazing in all these ways. Charming. I can't say too much of this stuff that we do, but that's in the locked section if you're between the ages of 18 and 800, aka Patreon, which is in the episode description in the link tree. But I would love for you to be the star of the show. Why don't you? If I've inspired you in some way, I want you to turn it around and be the star of your own life. 1 second. Let me take a sip of my coffee. Oh no, I spilled it. No. Oh wow, maybe he doesn't deserve to be the star. Let me turn on the light. Or did he spill it? Oh, he didn't spill it. Oh, maybe did he? Oh no. We'll leave it ambiguous. It's not clear. Also not important. Villains in your story, the story of your life, little bunny. I have some suggestions. As a writer, not just of fiction stories, but as somewhat of an expert on writing the life of your own story. How to make it enjoyable, meaningful, as fun as can be. We live in an incredible time. Oh my God. Best time so far. And the future, if I had to predict, is going to be better. So stay healthy. Let's see what's in store for the future. But man, even just right now, today, the day you're listening to this right now, little bunny, is the best day to have ever been a human on the planet. It really is. Broadly speaking, on average. So, a little bit of gratitude helps to set the baseline. There's all kinds of little hacks you can do to make your brain provide a happy life for you. Gratitude is one of the absolute best ones. But I have an interesting perspective, which is that, little bunny. Perhaps you may wish for a life without any struggles, without anyone providing stress. Providing stress? What an interesting way to put it. Your daddy is revealing his hand. Anyone imposing stress, burdening you with stress. Something that can really make a person unhappy is retirement. I don't know if you've ever been in a situation, slow down, Daddy. I don't know if you've ever been in a situation where you were able to take a little break just in life. For me, this was when I had a mental health catastrophe. And I had the wonderful good fortune of being able to go back and live with my parents for about a year, actually. It was a long recovery. And, man, well, you want to hear more about that, you can listen to episode 100. But I guess I'll use the example of my dad. Is that when he retired, he had a really active life filled with community service and creative projects, and would go out, and he's a writer too. He's still living. And he would basically be a self-employed hobbyist journalist. He would go around and just find things to explore and write about. This is his early retirement. And then he retired from retirement. He got very, very depressed. And all he did is live a comfortable life. Day to day. You wake up, there's no problems. There's no adventures. There's no things to solve. You watch TV and you go to bed. The next day you wake up and there's no problems. There's nothing to be angry about. You watch TV and you go to bed. It's so funny how our brains tell us we crave this. Do you ever crave, little bunny, a day where you can just wake up and there's no problems? You watch TV and you go to bed. Do you ever crave this? It is the quickest way to be super depressed and unhappy with life. We need villains in our lives, little bunny. We need some source of adventure. You can't really have adventure without a villain of some kind. You need some type of stress to stay happy. It's crazy. It's the wildest thing. If you didn't believe me when I said that we live in the best time of human history, that's a perfect example. Because so many of the traditional human problems, not having clean water to drink, not having enough food for the week, being worried that the tribe on the other side of the hill wants to invade and wreak havoc. Those are the original stresses. We managed to get past those. And then the stresses are, it's dark, but like, I won't even go to dark stuff. History is dark. History has not been a good time to live in. You don't want to go back and live in history, little bunny. Bad times, bad living situations, bad quality of life, high risk, high danger, high sources of... You get the idea. So many of those we've solved. We live such comfortable, safe lives on average. Yet we don't seem to be daily in the streets celebrating our good fortune, do we? We find something to be upset about. And ultimately that's okay. Maybe our brains just want to tell a good story. So enter the villain, little bunny. I think for your life to be fun and engaging, to be meaningful, to not fall into my dad's second retirement, I think you need a villain, little bunny. And I want to give you some extreme guidance on what I mean by villain, because I strongly encourage and implore you not to pick a person to play the villain in your life. I'm sure it's easy to cast a person as the villain. I'm sure there are bad people you can think of who are, again, in your life that you know of, people you know of that are not in your life whom you'll never meet, and people whom you don't know of whom you'll never meet who are equally tantalizing options to be a villain. But what I care about with you, little bunny, is I want you to have a happy life. And if your brain insists on making your life be a story, I would love to help you cast a great villain for your life that makes your life enjoyable, makes it fun. And I have some options for you to choose from, none of which are human beings. I strongly, strongly encourage you, even though there are bad people, in terms of this story of your life, don't make the focus of the villain in the story of your life a person. You may say, Daddy, what kind of villains could be non-people? Are you talking about like the snake that, I don't know, or in New York, the rats that feed on the trash in the nearby restaurants? Nope, that's just Ratatouille. Okay. I will tell you the villain of my life lately. And your villains can change, like a good anime that goes on for forever. A villain turns up for 30 episodes and then they move on to the next villain, and that's the next 30 episodes. They move on to the next villain. You can do this. This doesn't have to be the villain of your entire life for all time and always. But I can share with you the villain I've been struggling with lately. There's a word that is no longer in use in the English language. I guess it's a Greek word, technically. And with ChatGPT, as I was we were going to invent a word. We were going to try and find a word for something that I have found to be my villain lately. We resurrected a word called acedia. It's had a few different definitions over the years, but I mean it in the way the Greek philosophers meant it. It kind of came back in fashion in some of Christianity among monks, Christian monks. But for me, it really was. The definition goes back to the Greeks. Let me see if I can get a definition from the original Greeks. 1 second pause. Okay. You ready, little bunny? I had this be translated into conversational terms. Acedia is that feeling when you just can't bring yourself to care about anything. Like you're stuck in a rut, restless but unmotivated, and everything feels pointless. It's that mix of boredom and indifference, where even the things that used to matter just don't matter anymore. Do you ever feel in that state? It's not total laziness. It's not necessarily depression, because that's a clinical term. It's not quite apathy. There's a state of acedia that is the villain in my life that I'm on a quest to defeat every day. I'll give you an example. There was an event tonight, little bunny, that I had planned to go to. This is so boring. Let's talk about you, little bunny. I'll talk about me later. Okay, we'll talk about me briefly. I'll finish this story, then I'll get to you. There was an event that I was planning on going to tonight. And acedia was strong today. Acedia was strong today with me. And I'm best when I'm ambitious and productive. And all these wonderful things in my life is full of meaning. And certainly I quite often beat this villain. But acedia sometimes has a day where they get the better of me. So just earlier tonight, I was like, I use the terms here. Couldn't bring myself to get out of the house. It's like, I know that I should go to that thing, but I feel stuck in a rut. I feel both restless and unmotivated, and it just feels pointless to get out of the house. So what did I do, little bunny? In this quest, against this villain that wanted me to just stay in and waste time on my phone or something like that. This is not where the episode is supposed to go. Let's roll the dice and keep going. Here we go. All right. Let's talk about you, little bunny. The secret is that you pick one small thing to accomplish. And I said, okay, I won't commit to going to this event, but I will commit to getting ready to go. And if I don't go to the event, I will make that decision outside of my front door. So I literally made the deal with myself. If I don't want to go to this event, that's fine. But I won't let it be because acedia beats me. I'll do it because I choose I don't want to go. So I took the shower, get dressed, floss, brush your teeth, and all that stuff. Literally get out the front door and say, do I want to go or do I not want to go? And I got out the front door and I said, I don't want to go. So I came back inside. Then you know what happened? I got FOMO. And then I went. And it was great. Villain in your life, little bunny. We're going to choose a non-person villain for you. Pause 1 second. Okay. What is it that you want, little bunny? What is your best self? Let's take a moment. Imagine your best self. What is your best self doing? Is it a certain way you treat people? Is it a certain job you have? Is it a certain hobby that you're finally taking seriously? I don't like the word hobby. I mean, you can have hobbies, that's fine. But I think there's hobbies you can take seriously enough that you deserve to call it something more special than a hobby. We'll resurrect the word for that. We deserve that one. Something that you don't necessarily have to make money doing, that you take very seriously. And it could even be the most serious thing that you do in your life in terms of activity. That's a good idea if you have a job or a career that maybe doesn't have as much inherent fulfillment in it. We need some passion. Passion, hobby. We'll get a better word for that. So maybe your best self is pursuing that. Maybe your best self is pursuing a very particular job, like my friend who works with rockets. Okay, can't have a rocket hobby. You can have a model rocket hobby, but she works with real rockets. What is your? And that was a best self thing. She was not always working with rockets. She was in a much less fulfilling job. Of course, she accomplished it herself, but I cheered her along the way. I was like, you got this. You totally got this. She made it happen. Oh my God, she's a roll the stone until you succeed kind of person. Your best self, little bunny. Picture it. Okay. Are you in a certain location in your best self? Are you with certain people with your best self? Are you doing some activity? Now, where are you right now, little bunny, in contrast to that? What is holding you back, little bunny? What is holding you back from being your best self, from living that dream life? Herein we can find your villain for your life, to give your life some story, because your brain craves it. And your brain will pick things to be upset about. It will pick things to be upset about. Yeah. So let's figure out what it is that's in between you and you being your best self. Let's make it a nice adventure story. I'll be there with you the whole way through. I would love to. I would love to be your side character. I don't know. Cast me however you want, little bunny. As the lover or the mentor or the daddy in whatever miraculous, incredible ways he can be present in your life. Let me give you some examples of a villain. Could your villain be self-doubt? Could it be that the thing holding you back from what you want to accomplish is self-doubt? And your quest is to be cunning and find all the ways to overcome self-doubt. I can help with that. I'm sure I got some podcast episodes on that. Fear, little bunny. What if part of your best self and your best life has to do with being surrounded by people you have not yet met? What if your dream life is something community related, or has a spouse involved, or has a circle of friends? Maybe. And if these are people that you have not met yet, maybe the villain is fear. Because in order to meet people, little bunny, you have to put yourself out there. And damn, is that terrifying. Trust me, I know. It's the fear of putting yourself out there, of being yourself for all to see. I have a social anxiety episode. It's called Social Anxiety is Not Permanent. I would look up the numbers, but that's on you, little bunny. I'm sorry. What if your villain is giving up? What if you had attempted this dream life, little bunny? What if you had attempted to be your best self and you gave up? That's a good villain. I can help you defeat giving up, little bunny. What if you have more hardships than the average person? And what if it is tempting to give up? Well, then that's a good story, little bunny. I'm here for it. Let's make that a fulfilling story where you overcome. I would love that. Complacency. Is the villain of your life complacency? Maybe you have like a decent life and you can't complain. You've got a decent job and a decent this and a decent that. But you can't help but feel like maybe you could have done something greater. And maybe the villain in your life is saying, the ship has sailed. It's too late for me. If only I had done something back in the day. I'll just be complacent with how I am now. Oh, little bunny. That's the beginning of the story where the villain is powerful. And then your daddy Lindy comes along. We realize that the villain for you is complacency. And we get you all sorted out. Okay. I have some fun examples here. I tend to be happier in winter. Did you know that? You may think, well, Daddy, I didn't know you liked cold weather. And I would say, little bunny, quite the opposite. I hate cold weather. And that's why in winter, when my brain and your brain too are desperate to find something to be upset about, desperate to collect these negative things in our lives because we have the clean drinking water, we have the safety. I have an infinite supply of food that is tasty, and so do you. That's nuts, little bunny. So our brain is like, oh shit, okay, well, fuck this weather. It's so cold. You know what? That can inadvertently create happiness. Some really uncomfortable cold weather. What else do I got here? Okay, moving on to villains that are more not internal. So those were a few internal villains. The weather is our transition to external villains. Although I don't think the weather is exciting enough to be a main villain, but maybe like a little side villain is the cold weather. We'll take that. What's great about the weather is that it's also so beatable. You know, we have the extraordinary comfort of heated homes. That's nuts, okay? To have a freaking button. I have a button on my desk. I have a button that changes the temperature of this room. That is fucking bonkers, little bunny. That is so nuts. So the weather is a nice little... It's nice to get upset at the weather, actually, a little bit. Because then you can... When you get home, the weather's however you want it to be, isn't it? And then if you live in a part of the world where weather changes with the year, if there's seasons, then you just kind of wait it out, and then you feel like you accomplish something when spring comes. I love that. Spring arriving is my favorite time of year. Although my favorite holiday is New Year's. Okay, here's an example one, little bunny. What if you are a teacher? And what if you feel a strong purpose in teaching? It definitely is famous for being a very stressful job, especially these days. And it doesn't get the thanks that perhaps it should. And perhaps it doesn't get the respect from students. I just know that burnout among teachers is higher than it used to be. But it's a really wonderful profession. Really wonderful, really important too. And so if you're a teacher and you're in on teaching, your villain could be the unrealized potential of your students. What if that is the story of your life, of the teaching side of your life, of that component? It's that you're on a quest against the villain of unrealized potential. What do I mean by that? Unrealized potential in the sense of, let's say you have a student who could be incredible at your subject, or if you're teaching younger kids, maybe could just be incredible just in general. And what if it comes down to you to be the one who can? I mean, it's not all on you, little bunny, don't worry. Don't put that pressure on yourself. But what I'm saying is that you have some control over that student's potential. It's you versus the unrealized potential. I'm not going to define unrealized potential. It's too hard. Let me see what other villains we got here. I hope you're starting to see examples of non-human villains you can have. Because I suppose I should give you the warning that it's quite common for people to pick people as the villains of their life. And I'm not saying that there aren't people who could fulfill that role. What I'm saying is that I care about your happiness, little bunny. And that's not a recipe for a happy life, to be fighting against an individual. Or even worse, against a group of people whom you've refused to see as individuals. Let me give some examples. Okay. Is there an ex in your life who maybe you have cast as a villain? Perhaps they're quite bad. But do they really deserve to stay in that role in your life? Do they really deserve to be so tightly woven to your story, little bunny? If you have an ex who is the villain, or someone who perhaps should be an ex pretty soon, who is already in the villain category, you can do better. You can do better than putting so much of yourself into being against them. And I'm sure they deserve all kinds of horrible things. But this is about you and your happiness, little bunny. All right, look back at my notes. Yeah, I guess just a word of caution is, be careful around people whose villains are groups of people. And this comes from every corner of the earth, people of all persuasions and backgrounds. This is as core to humanity as it can get. So for whatever reason, our brains do love to create this faceless enemy of a group of people that doesn't include us, conveniently. Beware you don't get sucked into those things, little bunny. And I'll leave it vague because it pops up in every possible place and every time in history. And you can interpret it for yourself because I want you to be the boss of your own life. If you find a lot of your negative energy in your life is directed at a group of people, or if you find your peers have a lot of negative energy directed at a group of people, distance. Let go of that and distance from those people, okay? It's not good for your happiness. And it's not good for anyone. It really is not. Daddy public service announcement. Okay. I'm not sure this was a very good episode, but hopefully it was useful. I think it's a good topic, but it's certainly not an easy one to do. And I don't know. We'll get better at this. Every time I sit down here, little bunny, I'm just rolling the dice, getting better and better. And I'd like for you to do the same. Create the thing, practice the thing, try the thing, take the risk, roll the dice. It's okay if the dice don't land on the perfect score. It's okay if they land on the worst score. Keep rolling the dice for me, okay? Pick a villain that's not a person. And you and I together will go on a quest to overcome this villain. Etc., etc. I'm going to get to bed. That's a lie. I'm going to record the logged audio that I have to record because we've got a bigger one on the way. And also, acedia got the better of me this morning when I was supposed to record this. So I'm going to defeat the acedia that got the better of me today. But I'm going to record the locked audio right now. And then I will go to sleep, and I will wake up tomorrow morning, and I will write you a poem. I'll be right back. I love you. Good morning, little bunny. I slept very well. Thank you for asking. I have a poem for you, and then I will send you on your way to take on your week. It goes like this. In the epic of your life, choose a villain who's not a person. Choose a thing ethereal and beatable, so your story is rich with purpose, not aversion. Have a great week, little bunny. I want the best life for you, and I'll do everything I can to make it happen. Mwahaha. I love you. I love you. I love you.